Hello, in this video I'm going to show you how you can create more of these kinds of details. So let's create some of the details from here. So I'll just do so in the front viewport here. Start with the plane here. Let's create this interesting object right here. Edit poly, and we can just insert a loop right here. In fact, what I can do here is just to insert loops here. Select this, Control I to invert, delete, and just rotate this here. But since I want this to be a subtractive mesh, we need to make sure this is solid, airtight. So what I can do is just extrude up here, deselect, bridge, and I will just flip polygons here. And now this object is ready. And we can set up creases in Zbrush, for example, once we apply this to live boolean. So I'll just export this and we'll try it out. Alright, here we are. So if I draw this out now, I get this result right here. But if you have a lot of curvature in your mesh, it may actually be a problem. You won't get the good result that you want because it won't kind of match the curvature. So let's go into Brush, and under modifiers, let's activate or increase the projection strength. And now it should be more curved right here. You can see it's curving to match the underlying geometry. Another problem is that we need to actually have it be a little bit more in there. So let's decrease the embed value here. Alright, I have a little bit of space right here, so that should be good. So let's just find a good place to put this. Let's just say right here. And then split unmasked points. And so now we will do group split. It's kind of hard to see there's another object in there, but once we do group split, you should now see two objects here. This will of course be subtractive, and this we can actually just move this to the bottom. So I will press shift and click here to move all the way to the bottom, and it will just make this a starting group right here. Because we don't really want this to be added. We want this to be like a separate object inside the hole here. But we don't want to actually add it to the underlying object right here. So the next part is to actually subdivide this, because right now it's looking a little bit basic here. So let's start with this object here. So I'll just scroll down here under crease. And let's also activate dynamic subdivision here. So this is obviously too little. Let's try again. There we go. Let's bring up the dynamic subdivision here. And of course, let's decrease the crease levels. Let's say 3. Let's try that. There we go. Let me just turn off this object so we can actually see what's happening here. We also want there to be a crease right here. So let's decrease this even further. There we are. And so the setting here is 40 for the crease edge tolerance, so we can actually use that same value for this object. Dynamic subdivision. But for this we may need to be a little bit lower because these edges are not catching this edge right here. There we are. Alright, so that's how we can get this kind of result here. Now another feature when you use the insert multi-mesh here is that we can actually change the Z intensity. So right now it's set to 100, which means we get this result. However, if we want to make this flatter, we can actually decrease the Z intensity. And notice how the object comes out flatter. So let's try something like 40, for example. And I'm going to go through the same process, and I'm going to create this detail, let's say right here. And we'll see how it looks like with just Z intensity of 40. Now one thing to keep in mind here is because this has been flattened out, the crease tolerance value of 40 no longer works here, because you can see this edge still remains smooth here. Because it's a lot flatter here, it means that the angles have also changed, so I need to go much lower than 40 here. So by flattening it out, I now get kind of a different looking detail here. So instead of having to go all the way back to your other program to modify the detail, you can just decrease the Z intensity. You can also increase the Z intensity by going into Brush, Modifiers, and simply increasing the strength multiplier. Let's try, for example, 5, which should now make this, instead of 100, it should be 500 now. Let's see what that gives us. And notice how we get this kind of supercharged detail. So these are options to make your objects taller and flatter without having to go through the whole process of recreating the insert mesh here. The next detail we can add is this one right here, these holes. And you notice how the edges here are chamfered. Now normally when you use Boolean you don't really get that chamfered effect, but if you use a simple trick we can actually get something similar. Turbo Smooth, apply Spherify, edit Poly, and what I can do here is just delete these polygons, or what I can do is simply just scale this outwards here. And now I can just loop this and chamfer. To get, let's say, this result. I can just test out the subdivision here. And now I will export this and turn this into a multi-mesh insert. And back in Zbrush here, I can just insert right here. Now the trick to this is getting a good embed value here. So this is too high. Go into Brush. Right now it's set to set 1. Let's try 0. Alright, there we are. Another issue here is that if you insert meshes, it comes out different every time, different size. However, what you can do is simply hold Control, and it will set the size to be the same as your draw size here. So if I do this 3 times now, I get the same exact size every time. If I increase this or decrease this and hold Control, it's going to match every time. There we are. I'll just clear the masking, and now just go into solo mode. What I will do is hold Control Shift, click here, invert, and then split hidden, turn off solo mode, turn off polyframe, and make sure this is set to subtractive. And as you notice, we get this kind of fake chamfered effect right here. Next, let's create one of these latch details we can see across here, kind of bridging this gap right here. So I would just attach these objects together. So that when I export them to Zbrush, there will just be a single subtool right here instead of all these subtools here. So once I use group split, it will just split up this to this. I also want to create a subtractive mesh to give some room for this object to fit inside. So I can just select all this here. And just detach this clone here. Push it out. And now I can just draw this out here. But notice how it becomes warped here. And that's because under brush, modifiers, projection, strength, we can just lower this down to 0 here. Alright. And now I also just want to kind of rotate this. Move it out here. Alright, let's say like that. And now I can just split unmasked points. Select this object. And I will use group split. I'll just move this all the way down to the bottom here. I'll just make this a starting group. I don't want it to do anything here. I don't want it to subtract or add or intersection. And I'll do the same for this right here. And I'll make this object subtractive. And there we go. Now I have this kind of latch detail. So let's say in this case I think all these subtools are in too deep here. I don't want this latch to be so deep in here. So what I can do is press W, E, or R to switch to the gizmo here. And now if I just click here, you notice that the gizmo isn't really moving. So what I want to do is to make sure it's unlocked. Then I can simply click on it and it's going to align to the normals of the surface. So I'll just select the top right here. I can just lock this back up. Now if I try and move this out, the problem is that only one subtool is moving. So I need to go in here and move every single subtool individually. Or what I can do is use this function right here, transpose all selected subtools. Now if I try and move this, notice how all visible subtools are being moved. However, what I can do is hold down Ctrl-Shift and click on the various subtools to deselect them. And all the ones that have these lines going across are deselected. You can also hold Ctrl and Shift and click on it again to reselect it. So simply Ctrl Shift and click to add and subtract from selection. If you hold down Ctrl Shift and click right here in empty space, you'll invert the selection. If you Ctrl Shift make an empty selection, you'll simply clear it all. So what I would do is just Ctrl Shift click to invert here, and now nothing is being moved. And so now I'll hold Ctrl Shift and select only the subtools that I want to be moved. Now it can be a little bit difficult here, but all I have to do is hold down Ctrl Shift and click right here to select that subtool. So even though it's in subtractive mode and we can't really see it here, we can still select it here. So now what I can do is simply move all of these out. I only have to be up to here, for example. Using transpose all selected subtools, we can just turn that off, and now it's just affecting the selected subtool. Thank you for watching, and take care.